Now, for audience who are planning to think about getting into say sustainability and ESG, okay, the first thing that I want to understand is how is sustainability different than ESG?
Making our board responsible for sustainability. The overall employee become responsible for sustainability. So it is more of a cultural thing. When it comes to ESG, it's more of a reporting, very very specific to reporting perspective.
So when we talk about the product side, okay, is it mostly the tech-based products that are coming up in the market? And if I want to enter into the sustainability related products, so which areas are there within that space?
One specific niche product is GHG accounting based products where you want to account every emissions you are doing in your company.
What are the skills, tools, or certifications that anybody needs to succeed in this space?
I think somebody SCR certified, it means you are at least better and knowledgeable from the crowd which is already existing right now. If you don't,
Now, if suppose you would have started your journey now, today, into this space, so what would be your career progression? Hello, guys. I hope everybody is doing good. Hi, this is Ganesh Nayak. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also help students who are preparing for competitive exams in finance like CFA, FRM, and SCR. Okay. And as a part of that journey, we also bring people from the industry to talk about what are the relevant roles, opportunities that are there in the finance sector. And today I'm with Farhan Jamil, and he's going to be talking about his experience into the sustainability space. What are the different roles he has seen into that area? How SCR has helped him to gain a prominence or a deep understanding into the specific subject. So, first of all, Farhan, thank you very much for taking out time and talking to us. And if you can give a brief about you in terms of your journey, that would be really helpful.
yeah. No, first of all, thank Ganesh for reaching out and giving me this opportunity to talk to people. And I always love talking to people and sharing my ideas and my journey. So when I started my journey in sustainability, I think it's 8 years now, and it was a tough road because 8 years down the line there was no jobs as such. There's no structured job as such in sustainability or
Right.
in climate risk. But now, if I see in last 2 3 years, it has exploded. So I think I would love to share my journey from where I came from. But yeah, from an introduction point of view, again, I'm Farhan. I'm working as a manager in one of the big four companies now. I've been in sustainability for the last 8 years, primarily around working on renewable energy, climate risk, then GHG, accounting and assurance, and working on the both side of things, both product and services. So if I give my glimpse of last three companies which I have worked for, one of them I work for working on the climate risk products, and primarily it was more on building climate risk products for renewable energy, specifically wind energy companies, in terms of how the wind generation will get affected in next 20 25 years,
Okay.
because the wind itself is prone to climate change. Similarly for the solar side as well, like how solar resource will come down, and then marrying that with the financial side of things so that people or investor can understand how climate risk will affect their assets. Then I moved to a company where I worked on a product side of ESG, where it is more of how company can integrate technologies and data to build ESG reports. And it's all about working with the IoT data, IoT sensor data to understand like what's the energy consumption of that
Okay.
building, right, or what's the water consumption side of things, integrating their HR systems so that they can understand like what's the inclusions of different genders, or what's the age group, and also stuff like whatever is required in the ESG space. For last 3 years, I've been working in climate risk and sustainability space, primarily
Mhm.
looking into financial services sector, understanding how business, primarily in terms of banking sector, are affected by climate change or climate risk.
Okay.
So of doing stress testing for bankings as well as also for retail sectors to understand like how supply chains are getting affected by climate change and so stuff. I'm also part of a lot of assurance thing, because when you do a reporting of these, you go with the public reports of your GHG or sustainability. You also need to do a assurance thing. So I also do assurance. I have a lot of experience in giving assurance over those numbers. So yeah, overall, this has been my journey, and as I mentioned, it's exciting, and I'm seeing this this whole landscape is exploring, and probably a lot more to come in next 5-10 years.
Okay, interesting. And Farhan, when did you clear your SCR exam? Which year?
I cleared my SCR exam, I think May last year, 2024.
Okay. And so basically, because you were a part of this sustainability space, so SCR came very handy for you because it's the one of the certification that can go in the right direction for you. Now, for audience who are planning to think about getting into say sustainability and ESG, okay, the first thing that I want to understand is how is sustainability different than ESG?
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant question to ask, and I think even I'm exploring that. I think sustainability is a more of a culture driven. That's what I understand. So if I want to make my company sustainable, it's overall culture I need to build in terms of making our board responsible for sustainability. The overall employee become responsible for sustainability. So it is more of a cultural thing. When it comes to ESG, it's more of a reporting, very very specific to reporting perspective. So when I'm
Okay,
doing ESG, it is more of my use case will get restrict to only reporting. When my company is becoming more sustainable, sustainability, it means that it's more of a strategical question, like how I can decarbonize my company, or how I can do more of waste removal or waste recycling, those kind of stuff. So it's more of a strategy, and ESG just boils down to reporting. So I think the company should be focusing more on sustainability and not specific to ESG reporting itself, because that is the real value when you start working on the sustainability side of things.
right, right. Okay, okay. So when we talk about sustainability, so see you when I looked at your profile also, and we talked about this before the podcast also that you've worked in three different areas. So there is one product side, then there is one analytics side, and one is the consulting where you're currently right now. So when we talk about the product side, okay, is it mostly the tech-based products that are coming up in the market? And if I want to enter into the sustainability related products, so which areas are there within that space?
Yeah, I think I can really clearly chalk down these product into, I think, two or three categories. One
Okay,
specific niche product is GHG accounting based products, where you
okay,
want to account every emissions you are doing in your company to more in a digital way. So
okay,
whether it could be scope 1 or scope 2, scope 3, you want to create everything in more data specific way, automate
correct,
it so that you have emission factors multiplied to those emissions, and then you have a final emission number in terms of a dashboard so that you can manage, like, in last 5 years how your emissions are going, and then also categorize between scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, so that you can manage it well. That's a very clear cut, like a lot of products right now in the company, a lot of companies have came up with the products which are specifically moving into this GHG accounting space.
okay,
Another space is overall ESG reporting space. So it's on like how you can automate everything while you're doing reporting services, right? Because if you look into ESG, it's environmental, social, governance. So all the three are sitting in a very different vertical of the company, right? Now,
correct,
if I have to pull down a report at the end of the year, it's very difficult for me to first talk to an environmental compliance manager, or somebody working in the water space, or somebody working in the pollution space, somebody working in the emission space, and somebody working in the HR space, or let's say gender equity space, somebody working in the. Now what I'll do is I'll try to create a platform where you can submit your document, you submit your reports, or maybe it can automatically pull down things from your system and then can generate some sort of report at the end of the day. So again,
okay,
ESG or sustainability reporting is again a very niche product area where a lot of companies are coming in, because if you look into the kind of effort it goes into building the report, it's massive. So until unless you automate it, and thanks to Gen AI, because Gen AI is then right now doing a lot of this heavy lifting in terms of creating content or generating insights for the company, like what exactly has to be built. For example, if I talk CSRD, or let's say talk about GRI standards, it come a lot of compliances, a lot of frameworks. Now, me as a
hmm,
ESG expert, I don't have to read each of those requirement of, let's say, GRI or CSRD or ISSB. Rather, Gen AI can do it, and it can tell me like, hey, these are 10 thing or 15 thing you have to report. But I can just go back and collect those data from my systems or squad. So
okay.
again, this is now in a very automation space right now. So it's saving time for the company, as well as very easy to audit and monitor.
So there are products which are going to solve these problems which are available in the market. So you can
Yeah,
enter into this product area as an SME.
yeah,
Am I correct saying that?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So for sustainability experts, mm, the career is in product management side of things, or a business analyst side of thing, or domain expert side of thing, because a software developer can never understand what is sustainability or what is the definition
Correct.
of environmental social governance or what is carbon emissions, right? So he will develop product for you. Now if you're a domain expert, you can go into those company and make them understand, hey, this is what scope 1 is, what is scope 2 is, this is scope 3, right? And these
Hmm.
are the basic logical calculation you have to do, right? So
Okay.
those are the career where, in the product space it's moving. And third is the climate risk space, where
Okay.
right now it's more of a like very scientific kind of role, where somebody coming from a climate background or climate science background or environmental background, master's or PhD, can come and build out a product, so that, if I'm a asset manager, I can give you a lat and long of that location, and you can tell me like what exactly is the climate risk from both physical and transition risk side of things. So again, everything is now moving into digital space. So a lot of opportunities are right now they are sitting in terms of, you becoming a product manager or business analyst or domain expert to go and contribute and make an impact.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And when we talk about the second type of business that you have been into, which is the analytics space. So again, there it is going to be more of a product, but it will more focus on what is the dashboard coming in, what is the report going to the senior management,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
And is there any predictive analytics happening which is there in the space and which somebody who's done SCR, somebody can explore also?
I think predictive analytics right now, as such, in terms of AI or ML, there's not
Mhm.
much to do as in terms of heavy lifting. Okay, this is the problem which AI ML can solve in this space, because it's mostly simple calculations. The challenge is more of collecting the data itself. So I think that's the bigger
Okay.
challenge. So I think predictive analytics have a very limited use case. Where I've seen there's some use case is where, for example, if I am accounting, let's say scope 1 or scope 2, and I have,
Mhm.
let's say, very limited information about my consumption, right? So what I can do, I can make
Right.
some assumption. I can do some kind of machine learning algorithm across different industries, or train my model. Okay, if I'm operating in, let's say, building or real estate, so if I have a data of, let's say, 100 buildings which operate in my landscape and, emit X amount of carbon emission, so I can train my model and can give my building as an input to say like, hey, what would be the prediction of my output? So this is a case where, but it's not allowed all the time. It can be allowed 10% of, for example, if 10% of data in your site is missing, you can still do some assumption and do some sort of analytics. But I think from assurance or from a compliance perspective, the requirement is to give a real data, right? So when it comes to real data, I think then machine learning or AI have a very limited kind of applications. But what I see, what I can comment is on Gen AI side of thing. Gen AI has a huge kind of impact on overall sustainability, or maybe GHG accounting or everything. So because, if you see the CSRD requirement or ISSB requirement, or
Hmm.
let's say GRI requirements, are thousands of data points where you have to, report, right?
Okay.
Now, as a company, I cannot, as an environmental manager or a ESG manager, I cannot read everything and, start reporting. What I'll do is I'll just try to give all my reports to Gen AI, the agentic AI, and then agentic AI can read the GRI requirement and can equally
Okay.
map it. That can make my life easier. So in terms of AI, I'll say Gen AI has a huge application side of things in sustainability space.
So the next theme that generally we will be talking about is what are the skills, tools, or certifications that anybody needs to succeed in this space. So one such certification is what you have also done is SCR, and I've also done SCR. So
Mm.
apart from that, any skill, any tools which are widely used in the industry.
I think from a background perspective, somebody having environmental background or architectural background, or it's a civil or mechanical, but I've seen it's very, very sort of background agnostic. As such,
Hmm.
there's no quote unquote degree required to moving into sustainability space. It's more of a passion, and your knack to learn new things. There's some certification I could call out, like for example, SCR, as you mentioned. That right now it cannot guarantee you a job, but I think somebody SCR certified, it means you are at least, better or knowledgeable from the crowd which is already existing right now.
Correct.
from doing this kind of certification, I think SCR is a very good certification because it covers sustainability and climate risk, which
Correct.
right now package everything with industry is doing in sustainability. So you'll come across a lot of jargons or definitions or structures which are used in the company for sustainability and climate risk. So I think this is one of the thing which I have seen. But rather than, what you can do is you can read a lot of reports which are there. For example, GRI, TCFD reports. What is the exact requirement? What are the compliance?
Correct.
Go to GRI website and look into them. So I think a lot of learning can happen because a lot of things are there over the internet. I don't prefer right now to go and do all the certifications down there. At SCR is the one which I did, and that's a helpful one. But I'll not suggest to go and do all the certifications that are available. Rather, try to
Okay.
move into this industry and try to gain skill. And as such, there is no background or requirement or to, where company will
Okay.
filter out, right? So if you have a passion working in this space, write down something. For example, if you're in right now currently in a company and you have some experience in GHG, write down in your resume that I've done this. So that would be for you to be easy to move into some industry working sustainability, and then from there you can grow your skill. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
my recommend somebody
And
who
with
want to
respect
move.
to tools, with respect to tools, is there any specific tool which is used across the industry?
No, as such, there's no as such tool to learn or no. I think right now being digital is important, so you must have some understanding how Gen AI work,
Okay.
or maybe some sort of modeling or some sort of data analysis experience like on Python or Excel. I think Excel can also work, but as such, there's no as such typical tool which the company use until unless you want to move into very niche sector. For example, I think if somebody who is into LCA, there's some definite tool of it, or if you want to move into building analytics or build green building kind of space, there are some specific tool. I'm not very aware of them, but overall in sustainability, I don't think there's a specific tool which will help you to
Okay.
gain more strength or more competitive than other in this space. But if you want to move into like specific sector, I would recommend like you can check. For example, as I mentioned, building analytics has some tools where they work on decarbonization or LCA. There's some specific tools where you can
Tools
explore
available.
and work.
Yes.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think it's not something which will stop you from moving into the sector
Okay.
if you don't.
Now, if suppose you would have started your journey now, today, into this space, so what would be your career progression into this sustainability area?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and that's exactly where I started my career. So I want to move into sustainability, and I came from mechanical engineering background and did my masters in climate energy. So for me, moving into this space was moving into renewable energy space. So if I have to open down this whole sustainability, there is space of renewable energy. So if you're coming from engineering background, for sure you can start moving into renewable energy, and then from there you can grow because most of the companies work into decarbonization and renewable energy kind of things. So that's going to be helpful. Other part is GHG. So again, if you're coming from accounting background or a finance background or you're a CA, then I think because most of these assurance or accounting work on that principle of general accounting, right?
Yeah.
You do sampling and those kind of stuff. So if you are from financial background or financial sector, you can easily move into sectors like GHG accounting or let's say climate risk. A lot of banks right now are opening up. So if you have any banking experience in the past, like have worked in the bank,
Good.
so you can SCR can be super helpful there because SCR is designed for train you into climate risk kind of stuff. So if you are from banking or financial background, probably pick up these kind of certifications, and then I would easily have moved into doing some stress testing or climate space in banks itself. I think a lot of opportunities are there right now in
Okay.
that space. If I have to move into, let's say, industry and make a decarbonization or sustainability practices, let's say in retail or hospitality industry or let's say fashion industry, everyone is working in sustainability space right now. So I think it's no course is required right now. I've read like 10, 15 use cases. So for example, if I am coming from, let's say, a hospitality background, so I can read some stuff on sustainability, on hospitality, on the use cases of it, and then try applying. So what I'm trying to say is understand what's your strength area, engineering or finance or let's say project management kind of stuff. So once you understand your pillar, okay, I have some experience in the project management. So what I can do, I can become a sustainability project manager in any of the company who will manage a projects or program of sustainability across. So choose
Correct.
your niche and then go deeper down into it. Now understand what that company is doing. If you have any PR networking, try to connect with them and to first understand rather than just finding job, understand what are they exactly doing in the project management space, right? If you think you need some sort of certification, for example, there are other certifications available as well apart from SCR, you can do that, but don't go obsessed over it. First, understand your background, gain some couple of years of experience working here and there so that you have some domain or understanding of that industry, and then move into sustainability stage from that, of that
Okay.
industry in that.
Because now, see, when you talked about this now, one question that quickly came to my mind is a lot of people they do SCR or they do any certification, but when they go for the interview, they don't have much to talk about because their background is not into sustainability. So,
Yes.
how to
Yeah.
make somebody or yourself make yourself interview ready in this space?
Yeah, I think that's what I mentioned. Like, if you are new or fresher in this industry and you're thinking that SCR or any certification will help you crack that job, it will not going to happen. How SCR will help you if you're already into that market, it will give you a 100x boost because or 10x
Okay.
or 30x boost, right? Because you're already aware of how climate is. So, for example, if I was working on climate risk
Hmm.
for financial sectors in my latest company, and we were doing a lot of stuff on physical risk, transition risk, how that connect to the banking sector. Now, for me, SCR was a kind of brush up. So when I move into SCR, understand, then I can easily map like why I did that when I was working with the client, right? Or why client asked this question, or why client wanted to do this, or how can I recorrect my client? Okay, hey, this is not the correct way, rather this is the correct way. So
Okay.
SCR will give me boost there. But if I'm thinking that I can do a certification and then I think what you're saying is correct because industry right now and kind of certification or SCR is a very two different thing. So SCR will not going to teach you how that particular industry is working in that
Correct.
sector. It will
Correct.
be very generic information. The kind of question they ask in SCR is very generic or very case study based. It cover all the industry. So that's what I'm saying. If you're working in one industry, try to deep down, like understand. And every industry is right now working sustainability space. So try to deep down into like what are they working. For example, I met uh, one of my colleague who works in retail sector. So he came to me and say, "Hey, how can I move to sustainability?" I told him that you can look into. He was working in energy space, so I told him like, "Hey, move into or talk to people who are working in GHG accounting or who is like doing this kind of." You're doing energy, so somebody must be like taking that energy number and converting that into emissions factor or emission number. Talk
Correct.
to them. Who are they? First, try to understand. They will give you some document. They will give you some understanding. Try to understand them. Try to do a couple of projects or do a couple of program management there, and then you can apply. The easiest hack is right now. What I'll see is, and I'm hiring right now, the biggest hack is there are very few people who know sustainability. So even if you have a one liner or two liner in your resume that hey, I've worked on this, that's going to easily surpass you or clear, make your resume clear on the
Okay.
sector. So
Okay. Okay.
I think right now
Because
this space is grooming, so it's not that competitive right now. So you can easily move in if you have like even a year of experience into the sector.
okay. And what are the general common interview questions that people ask to any fresher or anybody who is planning to enter into the space of sustainability?
Yeah, no, that's correct. So that like even interviewer doesn't know like how to because it's a very fresh space or new space.
Hmm.
So if I have to take an interview, I'll generally ask people like what exactly you have done in your company rather than making them understand like what I'm doing and how can you do that. So I just try to understand like if you have done some sustainability space, what are those two or three things you have done? Can you clearly chalk down and write it to me like hey, this was the process, this was the thing? Because as an interview I want to understand what's the best practice they are following or they have followed in their
Correct.
company. They can come and contribute in mine because even I don't have much resource and people to scale it up. So I need people who have already done something in the past. So generally, the interview question is mostly on what you have done on sustainability. For example, if somebody is coming from climate risk background, maybe banking, so I'll just tell them, hey, this is your bank. I have 5-10 assets of my
Hmm.
bank. How what you will do to assess climate risk for 5 or 6 of my assets? What
Okay.
have you done? So this is one good question. Other question could be like, for example, if I'm in cement industry, somebody coming, let's say, from a cement industry, and they're saying that they have done decarbonization. So I can ask them like, what are the 5 or 6 principle or for steps you have followed to at least. I mean, for example, there's a lot of part of GHG inventory and then baselining, and then so what you have exactly done, what are the process you have followed, what
Okay.
are the different stakeholders. So it's most of like what you have done in your company, and from there we can understand gauge like what are the people understanding of sustainability space. So
Okay.
don't try
Okay.
to understand a lot of new things, because there's certifications or things will throw you a lot of new things. Not everything's are used across all the industry, right? So don't try to understand everything and try to fit any everything into. Just pick up one or two niche area and then apply, and then be very very niche and focused what exactly you have done in that space. Now if you cannot explain, then you are in trouble. But I think if you have done something, have you heard, you have made yourself deeper down to those concepts, I think you can easily clear out the interview.
Okay. Interesting. And one final question: somebody who wants to change his career and wants to enter into this sustainability space, what is one advice that you will give it to him?
If somebody is coming from a very, let's say, from very different background, I would
Hmm.
suggest like there has to be have very strong why perspective, like why they want to move into space. Because like any other domain, this domain is also expanding and exploring. So it's not that only this space has opportunity and that has not. So there has to be very strong reason or a why part, like why somebody want to move into this space. uh, so I would suggest like first try to understand like what is the reason. Are you really passionate about sustainability, or which part of sustainability? So don't just get yourself attracted by the word sustainability because it's a big universe. So there could be like, for example, if you're banking sector, you can think of okay, okay, climate risk is more analytical, more sort of mathematical. So I want to move into this space so that I have some, I can apply
Correct.
some formula into there. So have some why part, very very strong why part of it, and then try to gauge your background as well, like how you can create an impact. If you don't have any background, I would suggest try to do better in what you're doing right now. But if you have done something which is sustainability related, or you have some experience in the past and you can think, this is a one piece of sustainability you can pick up and do good, come and do that. So
Okay.
I mean, because it's not like this sustainability space will give you 10x salary or 20x salary, or it's like highly
Right.
salary event. It's again like a career like any other career. The only good thing is like it's impact driven. So at the end of the day, at the end of the month, you will feel that you have done something for the company.
Correct.
And
Correct.
good to share with people, and it give you that moral boost. Okay, I'm doing something in that space. So if you have a very strong but, and try to pick some missing link in your past, like
Okay.
okay, this can connect. Otherwise it will be very difficult to crack the job, because as I mentioned, like people will come and say like what you have done in this space. So until you have that strong answers for it, it will be very difficult for you to move to space.
Okay. Interesting. Now we have one final section, which is the rapid fire segment. I will
Yeah,
ask you a question very fast, and you have to answer fast. Okay.
sure, sure.
The first question: most underrated skill in sustainability.
Analytics.
One must know certification besides SCR.
GRI.
Your go-to analytical sustainability analytical tool.
Excel.
Okay. Biggest misconception about sustainability career.
That it is money driven, with a lot of money into the space.
Okay. Future sustainability trend that excites you.
Climate risk.
Okay. One thing you wish you knew earlier.
I think this I can't answer this question in a very rapid fire way, because I think and the reason is because this industry itself is growing, so a lot of things are coming up. Yeah, but if I have to understand few, I don't think there's, because it's just a more of a linear journey. So and the
Okay.
industry is exploring, so there's nothing as such. Ki, hey, I mean, if I knew this, I would have done a better way. It's all about like how you're picking things in your journey and trying to connect the dots.
Okay.
That is where things are working out for me.
Okay. A final question on this. A quote or a principle that keeps you motivated.
I think one quote I always remember by Winston Churchill. It's not about sustainability, but it's more of, and in particularly in the space of Gen AI. And that quote says like this: that if you have half an hour to speak, right, you will prepare for, let's say, 5 minutes. And if you have to speak for 1 minute, you have to prepare 1 hour. right? Now that's
Okay.
a quote I always take on face value, and the meaning of this is, and it's very relevant for Gen AI, because uh, Gen AI can give you a lot of content, and in particular in this kind of space where we are living in, the contents are never that difficult to get, right? So if I have to prepare for a 1 minute or 2 minute thing, I have to get sit and prepare it for, let's say, half an hour or 1 hour. And that's the beauty of presentation or preparation, right? And if I have to speak
Correct.
for, let's say, 1 hour journey, then I think 1 minute to 2 minutes preparation can work. I think this is where, because I work with a lot of clients, so I think this is the code where I take in day out, and try to understand, like, if this is a 1 minute or 2 minute or 5 minutes of where I have to create impact, I have to prepare it for 1 hour 2 hours. So the shorter your impact window is, the higher longer you have to prepare for it.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So wonderful, Farhan. I mean, this conversation is going to be really helpful for a lot of students, a lot of people who wish to make the career into sustainability space. And I really appreciate that you coming forward and talking to us, because even though there are very less people into this space, there was very less knowledge how to make a career into this space. So again, Farhan, thank you very much. This opportunity will help a lot of new young people who are there, who want to learn, who want to become like you, like any other professional. So this is going to be really helpful to them. Thank you,
Yeah, yeah,
Farhan.
sure, sure, Ganesh. Thank you so much for this.